I thought it was interesting that the White House called for an end to conversion therapies for gay and transgender youth. Why do you think they came out now?
I think it actually was very simple explanation. The system, as I understand it, of these petitions, when people put in these petitions to the White House, once they get a certain level of support, and I think this had gotten something like 120,000
The hundred
signatures.
thousand is the
Yeah,
threshold.
once it crosses 100,000, the White House is actually obliged to say, all right, well, what do we make of this? And in this case, though it's been reported that it was the president that has now called for this ban on youth conversion therapy, it was actually Valerie Jarrett, one of his top aides, who wrote the letter, wrote the note, which is not a huge difference, but it's some difference. And they have no particular power over this. At the moment, there are two states, California and New Jersey. And one thing that's interesting to note is one potential 2016 Republican candidate, Chris Christie, actually signed the law in New Jersey that was the ban of conversion therapy there, which is really fascinating because these kinds of legislation, which I think is alive now in 18 states, has had very difficult pathways in red states. Not that New Jersey is a red state, but it's not being embraced by conservatives. But how this ban would somehow or other become federal, or I think
Yeah,
it's
I mean,
mainly the weight of
Its
the White
message,
House. Its
right?
message, yeah.
proposed law would be named for Leila Alcorn, a young woman who apparently committed suicide, having gone through this kind of treatment.
That's right. And it's another case of an egregious case, a tragic case, becoming the symbol for a much broader issue that affects many other people, perhaps not quite as severely. And in this instance, I mean, to put a little bit of a political overlay on it, and particularly the way that it was kind of brought to people's attention. Of course, it was prompted by this petition, which passed the threshold for a response, a formal response from the White House. That's the formality of it. But there's also the political, if you will, impetus here, which is to say, let's keep this issue going. Let's have this conversation go on. We think this is a good conversation for the country to be having for its long-term sake, and also because we have an election coming in 2016, and this is an issue that's going to be brought forward, and we'd like to see where the various candidates stand on